we go and do this video from 2 months ago. Path of Exile 2 is actually not that difficult. A true beginner's guide. It's right, it's not that difficult. You just have to learn how to play the game. Literally, that's literally it.
Heya, I'm Miles Wee. If you've clicked on this video, I think we can both assume you've heard of the game known as Path of Exile 2. What you may have
Most likely, like me, you already played that. Because, to be fair, a lot of people that play the game also consume content about it. And this is a perfect video for that.
also heard is how complex or intimidating the game can be. Especially the first game, so much so I even dedicated an entire video to that first game to help introduce brand new players to it as well. Well, today I come to you all with the same point I tackled earlier this year with my very first video on this channel. Despite whatever you may have heard, I want to tell you that Path of Exile 2 is actually not that difficult.
He's right.
If you've come to this video as a fan of my original series on Path of Exile 1, and are a bit disappointed that this one is focusing on Path of Exile 2 instead, I would invite you to still stick around and check out this one. Path of Exile 2 just recently began their new league, adding the new Druid class, a new Sorcerer's Ascendancy, as well as many other balance changes, so it's a great time to try it out. And if you do choose to purchase the game at the $30 price tag, you'll also get $30 worth of premium currency added to your account by the developers that can be used in both Path of Exile 1 and 2. So even if you find it's just not quite your speed as much as Path of Exile 1, you'll basically just be buying premium currency for the first game.
Yeah.
Whether you're new to my channel entirely, or
that's a good way to see it,
you are a returning viewer, I hope you'll still enjoy learning with me as we step into the lands of Rayclast once again. Similar to the first game, I'm making this video as a complete introduction to the series, assuming you've never played either title and are entering entirely as a brand new player. Because of that, we will not be discussing the endgame. Many content creators assume that since Path of Exile's endgame is a huge amount of their playtime, then that also means that the endgame is the only thing new players should focus on.
which is wrong, absolutely wrong, totally wrong. Totally wrong. I have spent way more time playing the campaign than the endgame. Because the endgame isn't fun to me. That's literally it. It's not fun to me. I'm getting so bored playing that I stop playing. It's that bad.
This is because for them, sometimes also coming from Path of Exile 1, they will have several hundred or even thousands of hours of experience. And things like the campaign are simply considered a mandatory speed bump they feel they have to get past. However, I firmly hold to the stance that in order to reach that endgame, a player must enjoy the game up until that point.
Yes.
So in order to help you all reach that end of the campaign, I'll be covering the topics that a truly brand new player to the game will most likely need to know. Similarly as well, we will not be discussing additional resources that are commonly recommended by other content creators, such as build guides and especially Path of Building.
Yeah.
I do think that build guides can be a great way for a new player to learn the game without feeling intimidated.
I agree.
But I think that telling new players that they must follow one in order to start out stifles their creativity and removes a lot of agency that can make the leveling experience exciting for many new players. Path of Building, on the other hand, I absolutely do not recommend to new players. It is a great resource when you're at an intermediate level for the game and planning to optimize your builds. But it is just menus upon menus of text that swamps down a new player, and I personally quit the first game when I had been told to install it just because it was so overwhelming for me.
Yeah, I can see why.
Regardless, with all of that setup out of the way, let's hop right into the lands of Rayclast and meet our colorful cast of characters to choose from at the public gathering outside of the Ogham Manor.
How will we do it?
Upon reaching the main menu of the game, you'll be prompted to create your first character. Before having the chance to choose your character, however, you'll have to first choose what league you want to play in. Leagues are like seasons in other games, adding new mechanics and content for players to tackle. The current league, starting in the Last of the Druids update for Path of Exile 2, is the Fate of the Val League, adding cool new features like building your own dungeon. You must choose between picking this league or standard, with the only real difference being that players can only trade with the league they choose into. Generally,
yeah.
I always recommend to make your character in the newest league, especially as a new player, as it will make your items worth more to trade and will give greater value to the current.
The thing is, everyone is playing that anyways. And if the league ends, your character just goes back to just goes to standard. And you play all the things. When I remember correct, wait. Is the standard league also having the league mechanics? I don't remember that. I think when the Hunters came in, that stuff also was in the standard league. I don't remember. Too long ago.
Currency that you get. Additionally, you can choose to make your characters either as hardcore or solo self-found. Hardcore characters get demoted to regular characters after death, but generally, I wouldn't attempt this as Path of Exile 2 has many ways to kill you immediately when you're still learning the game.
No, I'm done. I'm done. I'm playing WoW now. I rolled into him. That's so embarrassing. I'm hard stuck in the campaign.
SSF, on the other hand, removes your ability to trade with other players, meaning you can only get new items by your own hand, either through finding them or crafting them. I highly discourage making a solo self-found character when starting out, as being able to buy items that you need can be a great boon when still learning the game. After selecting your league, you get to meet the cast of playable characters in Path of Exile 2.
Now, even if I don't play solo self-found, I'm basically always solo self-found. Basically always. I haven't yet bought any items ever in Path of Exile 1 or 2. Maybe I should start that.
Each of these charming individuals is currently being sentenced to death for various crimes or maybe just minor slights they committed against the owner of the Aga Manor, Count Gianor. Clicking on any character will give you a preview of the basic playstyles that character tends to be better equipped for. For example, clicking on the Witch will show her use of undead soldiers, as well as bone magic and spreading blights and diseases. Keep in mind that regardless of what character you choose, all abilities, weapons, and armor are available to you, as Path of Exile is largely a classless game. Instead, choosing these characters will affect your starting position on the shared skill tree. We'll get to that. As well as what ascendancies you'll be offered later on. Ascendancies are like subclasses in other games, and offer you unique passive abilities to that class. Some examples of subclasses, using the Witch as an example again, are the Lich, who specializes in undead offerings and energy shield, the Infernalist, who primarily focuses on using fire magic and damage, and can summon a Hellhound or even turn themselves into a demon, or finally, the Blood Mage, who revolves around using life to cast their spells instead of mana, and has many methods for keeping themselves topped up to increase their damage output for the more life they've lost recently. When starting out, I wouldn't focus too much on what your endgame build or setup might be. Instead, choose your character based on the general vibe you want to go for. Do you like elemental spellcasters? Pick the Sorceress. Enjoy the idea of being a dexterous archer? Ranger is probably for you.
Yeah.
Basically, I'd say to go 100%. With your gut,
100%.
and over time, you can tailor your build to whatever feels right.
It's, for example, I started my druid as a bear, and then I went a little bit into Wyvern. Bear was fine. Wyvern I struggled with, but I tried to force myself to play it and, be good at it. And then at the point I was like, yeah, I don't want to play it anymore. And then I just stopped. And then 2 months later, or something like that, or 3, I just give it a try again. And then I tried, and this was horrible. And then I thought, yeah, how about I try something completely different and just go for caster and just be a caster. Just try that. And it worked out perfectly. It's actually really, really good. It's really, really good. caster druid and nothing else works out perfectly. It actually made me think about how to do the same, basically the same stuff, but with the witch into sorceress. No, with the sorceress into elementalist. Just to have one less button to push when it comes to fighting bosses and stuff like that.
After choosing your league and starting character, you'll get to watch as all of the other characters that you chose to abandon are instead hung while you narrowly survive with your life.
Which is cool. Super cool.
Waking up on the shore of the river afterwards, you'll get to meet a new companion, who will be with you long into the story. Oh, God. Well, at least his death gave you a nice little starting weapon.
Yeah.
Equipping this first weapon will grant you a basic attack ability, displayed down here on your hotbar, allowing you to fight your way forward through the riverways. After killing a few of the friendly locals along the banks, you'll encounter a chest with a quest marker attached. What you find in this chest will vary by character, but generally it will either be an extra item for your offhand or your first ability skill gem. Offhand items can provide a passive bonus to your character, such as quivers, or potentially add new abilities altogether, such as shields, bucklers, or scepters. Scepters will additionally grant a passive resource known as Spirits, which is used for summoning minions as well as other strong passive buffs.
Yeah. And
if you received an offhand item...
I'm thinking about maybe, I don't know, getting a scepter and shield thing going for my druid. Maybe that could work. I don't know. Maybe not. Would be cool though. Would be cool.
In your first chest, you'll find another chest along your path that will grant you your first ability skill gem. In Path of Exile 2, abilities are not locked to classes. Instead, each ability is an item that requires certain base stats to equip, which you can see here by hovering over your mouse. Upon picking up the skill gem in your inventory, your skills menu will pop up on the left side of your screen, allowing you to slot that skill into your character, assuming you have the stats to use it.
Which is great design.
Skill gems also have their own levels, from 1 to 20, with each level increasing the power of the gem, but also increasing the required stats to use it. Additionally, some skill gems are specifically tied to certain weapons, so while any weapon can use something like Frost Bomb or Shockwave Totem, you'll need to have a bow equipped to use an ability like Lightning Arrow. After equipping your first ability, you'll need to assign it to your hotbar. The way you do this varies based on if you're on a keyboard and mouse or controller. However, generally, just follow the on-screen prompts and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Once you have your ability on your hotbar...
The tutorial is really well done. Really well done. You only miss it if you don't pay any attention. That's the only way to miss it.
You can use it by simply pressing the button or key that it's bound to. You'll notice when you use an ability though, that unlike your basic attack, it actually costs some mana, displayed here on the bottom right. Naturally, you regenerate mana slowly over time. You can increase this rate with passives and items. However, if it gets too low, you can always use your mana flask to top it up.
Yep.
In Path of Exile 2, you only have 2 flask items. A life flask and a mana flask.
Which I like.
Flasks use a system known as charges, but you can think of each charge as the amount of liquid left in the flask.
Yes.
As you drink the flask, you'll consume a certain amount of charges until it runs out. You can refill the charges at any town by using the well. Additionally, however, you may also restore the charges whenever you kill any enemies. Yep. So, you can literally keep yourself alive by drinking the blood of your enemies. At any point while playing...
When I remember correctly, in Path of Exile, just like in Path of Exile 1, you can't craft on them that they gain charges over time. Just naturally gaining charges, which is good.
In Path of Exile 2, you can press your dodge key, bound to spacebar on keyboard and mouse, to perform a dodge roll. This roll provides you with 100% dodge chance during the animation, allowing you to avoid damage from most attacks. Continuing to hold the dodge roll button will cause your character to enter a sprint. During a sprint, you move much faster but have a limited turning angle. You can cancel the sprint at any time by using an ability or dodge rolling out of it. While sprinting is great, be careful, as if you are hit at all during the sprint animation, your character will be heavily stunned and toppled to the floor, which can oftentimes spell out your imminent death.
Yeah.
As you clear a path through the starting riverways, some of the various mobs around the area, or even the Miller boss himself, will drop equipment onto the ground as they are killed.
Ooh.
You'll note that some of these items come in differently colored names. If you've played Path of Exile 1, this is
He's explaining very, very well. This is a great video.
all the same, but for those of you who haven't, let's quickly go over this. Equipment items in Path of Exile come in one of a few rarities. Normal rarity items have white names and come with no modifiers and just their basic stats. Blue items are known as magic rarity and will have up to 2 additional random modifiers, such as extra damage or defenses. Finally, yellow items are known as rare items and can come with up to 6 additional random modifiers.
Exactly.
Items that have any rarity above normal must be initially identified using a Scroll of Wisdom. This consumes the scroll and reveals the stats of the item, allowing it to be equipped. Scrolls of Wisdom are commonly dropped on the ground as you play, but they can also be purchased for 25 gold by whatever vendor in town sells flasks, magical equipment, and jewelry. In the starting town, this is Una. All items of the same name at the same level will always have about the same level of base stats.
Yep.
Because of this, make sure to read the modifiers you get on your new items, so you can know if the new gear is actually an upgrade or not. It wouldn't help a lot to get increased fire damage dealt on a wand if you're exclusively using lightning spells.
Exactly.
Finally, there's one additional rarity of item in the game that can be dropped, but is very uncommon. These items are known as uniques, and have a dark orange name tag. Unique items always come with specific stats, and oftentimes will have additional passives that are, and yes I'm doing this bit again, unique to those items.
Why? Oh, the funny is strong with this one.
Uniques are much rarer than other items, and you'll likely only see a handful of them during your initial run through the campaign. They can range from generally useful to entirely game-breaking.
Yeah.
However, some uniques can also be entirely useless or even detrimental to your character,
Yes.
depending on what they do and what your current build is. Just like with the random modifiers on your equipment, make sure you read the descriptions on these items before equipping them, as just because they're more rare doesn't actually make them better.
Oh, yes, you have to learn that very, very early in the game. Very early. You find something, you find it unique, you look at it, and you're just staring at it, and you go, this is trash. Why does that even exist? Why do I find it at my level? I could have had use of it 30 levels ago, 40 levels ago. But now, no, this is trash. Why does this exist? Leave me alone.
Many times, a good rare item can easily beat out a bad unique. Now, let's go over what other kind of gear you can acquire.
He uses the sounds from Super Mario. Just a side note.
Generally, the types of equipable items that you will find dropping in your game are weapons, either one-handed or two-handed,
Yes.
armor, falling into one of the equipable slots like helmet, boots, gloves, and body armor, accessories in the forms of belts, rings, and amulets, and new to
shields.
Path of Exile 2, you may also find charms.
Where are shields? Where are shields?
Charms are a special kind of item that was added into Path of Exile 2 to replace the utility flasks of the previous game. To equip a charm, you must have an available charm slot displayed here below the belt. Charms are like potions, storing charges which can be regained by killing enemies primarily. Upon meeting a condition, such as taking fire damage or being stunned, if the charm has enough charges saved up, it will consume them to provide you a buff. In the case of taking damage, such as with the Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz charms, you will gain extra resistance to that damage type for a short duration. For charms that are activated by a status effect, such as the Thawing Charm when you're frozen, you'll instead be given immunity to that status effect for a limited time. All armor items come with stats known as base defenses. These are defensive stats that are based on the type of armor itself and the stats that are required to wear it.
Yes.
Strength-based gear provides armor. Dexterity equipment provides evasion, and intelligence armor provides energy shield.
Oh my god, he's explaining this stuff so well. Oh my god, this is great. This is really great. I'm not kidding. This is great. This is an awesome video. I wish I had found that earlier.
Some gear requires multiple stats to equip, in which case the defensive stats of the item will also be a combination of the stats that are required to wield it. So for example, a dexterity and strength piece of gear will give both evasion and armor, but in smaller amounts than if you were to use a pure armor or evasion item. These three defensive stats are the core foundation of almost all of the defenses in Path of Exile 2. Every build will typically want to specialize into one or sometimes two of these stats to have a good amount of survivability. While their names are fairly straightforward, let's still quickly go over them and how they work. Armor provides damage reduction to the physical damage that you receive from hits. Most regular monsters throughout the campaign tend to deal primarily physical damage. Armor can help to prevent a lot of incoming damage from those types of mobs, but won't do anything when taking hits from elemental damage. Evasion is about not getting...
Unless... And maybe he says it later, unless... There's a new stat in the game. I think they introduced it the league before Druids. They introduced armor also grants percentage-wise some percentage of your armor also defends against elemental hits or damage, something like that. And I was able to make a warrior that could face tank the fire casting boss in the third act in the pyramid for the time travel thing.
Hit in the first place. As you gain more evasion, you will have an increased chance of avoiding a hit entirely. Evasion could be a great way to not have to heal as consistently, but can result in you taking larger chunks of damage when you actually are hit. Finally, Energy Shield does as its name implies. It provides you with a shield of energy. This shield operates very similarly to shields in other games. Taking damage reduces the shield, and avoiding damage for a short duration lets the shield recharge. Energy Shield can be nice, as it lets you soak a few hits without having to heal at all, but it might result in you having to play a bit more passive. Over time, you'll get an idea of what kind of gear works well for you. However, regardless of the class you started with, you can freely mix and match whatever equipment feels right for you, so long as you have the stats for it. As you level up, you'll eventually find better gear, and you should always be on the lookout for an upgrade to help keep you strong enough to handle whatever the campaign throws at you. At last, now that you've defeated the Miller and are ready to enter your first town, it's time to tackle the actual scariest threat in the world of Path of Exile. No, it's not the Elder Tours beyond comprehension. It's also not the Beast, a cataclysmic monster that will soon consume the lands, ending all life as we know it. No, the scariest thing for most players, especially when starting out in Path of Exile 2, is...
skill tree? Yeah, the skill tree.
The passive skill tree. Okay. I know this thing is pretty scary to look at.
Yes.
If you've never seen or played either of the games, the Path of Exile skill trees are probably a bit of a shock to you. They might seem like less of a skill tree and more of a skill jungle.
Yeah.
However, just like the name of this video stated before, Path of Exile 2 is actually not that difficult. And just like the game itself, the skill tree is also not that difficult to understand either. So let's quickly break it down in a way that's more digestible.
Come on.
The Path of Exile 2 passive skill tree is divided into three...
because stay in the area you're starting in. And go in a cone, in kind of the same direction. I guess that's what we're going to say.
sections. strength, dexterity, and intelligence. All characters share the same tree, but start in different positions along the edge of this circle. Because of this, it's possible to basically use any character to acquire any passives on the tree, even if your character did not start in that region. If you started as a warrior, but decide you want to use the quarterstaff for your build, you can path yourself into the monk's starting section and grab those nodes yourself. The passive skill tree is made up of 3 kinds of nodes. Small passive nodes are the most abundant node on the skill tree. These nodes will either provide you with a small specific buff, such as increased damage, or they will be an attribute node. Attribute nodes allow you to choose one of the 3 base attributes, strength, dexterity, or intelligence, and gain 5 in that stat. Notable passives are the next tier up of selectable passives. These usually provide a similar buff to the other small passive nodes around them, but in a greater amount. Finally, there are keystone passive nodes. These nodes often grant a great benefit, but often also come with an equally severe drawback.
Yeah.
Nodes like Oasis, which makes all of your flasks grant 30% more recovery, but removes your ability to use charms entirely.
Which is fine.
Throughout the passive skill tree, you'll find that
Depending.
passive nodes will often be clumped together.
Now, the druid, if he goes shaman as an ascendancy, it has a node there. Plus 30 or 40 spirit per empty charm slot. So if you would use that thing, you would be fine. You would have 120-ish more spirit, which is great. It's great.
With other passives of the same kind. Lightning damage nodes will often be clumped with other lightning or shock related passives, while life leech nodes will be located around other nodes related to leeching life and healing. These groups will usually have several small passive nodes and 1 or 2 notable nodes accompanying them. All passives on the skill tree only require 1 skill point to unlock, but must be connected to a previous node you have acquired.
Yep.
There are also empty jewel sockets that can be found spread out across the passive skill tree. These nodes use items known as jewels that will grant you up to 4 randomized stats for only 1 node slot on the skill tree. The stats they provide are based on the type of jewel inserted and the modifiers that jewel has rolled on it.
Yep.
Overall though, that really is
All
all
true.
there is to know about the skill tree. Typically, classes spawn closer to the nodes related to their associated gear, such as monks spawning near the quarterstaff passives or witch spawning near the spell damage passives, but overall you should just level up whatever sounds good to you. My number 1 tip has always been this: zoom in. If the passive skill tree seems daunting with so many options, just limit those options.
Yes.
Focus on your current few choices and grab what sounds good, focusing on getting the nearby notable passives. If nothing nearby looks good, either zoom out slightly and check the other nearby nodes, or feel free to use the search option on the top right of your screen. It will highlight nodes related to whatever you type in. If you're looking for damage, just type in damage and see if any of the nodes near you fit your weapons or current spell.
To be fair, there are a lot of nodes that have the name damage in it. Also, you can later, you can just refund passives and reallocate them. That's possible. I do that all the time. I did that. I spent 200 or 300k for my druid doing that. Very, very expensive, but it was worth it. I think it was absolutely worth it. So yeah, don't be worried about making a decision that you regret later. You can redo it, undo it.
After completing the Miller fight and entering the small disheveled camp of the Clearfell encampment, you'll meet the local blacksmith, Renly.
Renly's the name.
Who will thank you for helping them defeat the Miller by rewarding you with a level 1 uncut skill gem. He will then task you with hunting down the Devourer in its lair within the Mud Burrow, afterwards rewarding you with an uncut support gem. Now, skill and support gems have changed a lot from the first game of Path of Exile, but they're actually a lot more straightforward in Path of Exile 2. Even so, let's go over them in detail so nothing is left to be confusing.
Oh my god, we aren't even... It's still more than 10 minutes left. Oh my... This video is so good. This is so good. I wish I had a video like that when I started out playing the game. And that's what I'm saying with over back when I started playing Path of Exile 2, I already had over 1,000 hours of Path of Exile 1. And that has only grown. Has only grown. So yeah, this video is really, really good. Really good. Tremendously good.
Skill gems acquired in Path of Exile 2 start off in an uncut form. The uncut skill gems will also have a level associated with them, which relates to the stat requirements of the gems and their strength. Upon interacting with an uncut skill gem, the gem cutting menu will appear, displaying possible skills that the gems can be cut into.
Yep.
Skills are divided into categories based on the weapons they are associated with. They are also divided into tiers, going up by 2 levels per tier. In order to cut an uncut gem into a new skill, you must meet the requirements of that skill, requiring the right stats, equipped weapon, and having an uncut skill gem that has a level that is high enough to use the tier of that skill.
Yes.
For example, a level 1 gem cannot get high velocity rounds, even though I have a crossbow, as it requires a level 3 uncut skill gem. When clicking on any skill gem that you're able to craft and hovering over it, a short video will play that will demonstrate the use of the skill and any nuances it has. I highly recommend watching these videos, as many skills will get stronger if you meet certain conditions or combo them with other abilities.
Yes.
And these nuances will usually be highlighted in these videos.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I still do that with skills that I am using for ages. Because sometimes I'm getting unsure, and then I just watch the video. Works like a charm. And by the way, this is a very, very, very good idea. This an idea like that is made by people that actually play the game. And yes, I know that's something that Asmongold is saying all the time, that people that make the games don't play them. It's very obvious, GGG, they play the game.
Infected corpses can be used to spread contagion if you use a skill that targets the corpse, such as Unearth.
If you have a skill gem already equipped, but acquire an uncut skill gem of a higher level than the one you currently are using, you will see this symbol here. This indicates that you will consume the uncut skill gem to instead level your equipped skill, increasing its power.
Yep.
Make sure to try and level your most damaging or commonly used abilities often to keep yourself as strong as possible. Similar to skill gems, there are now uncut support gems as well. Upon interacting with these, a different gem cutting screen will pop up, specific to support gems. In the support gem menu, you will have one of your equipped skills display on the left with empty support gem sockets. In the center of the screen, you will see recommended support gems for that selected skill. After choosing one of these support gems, you can press Engrave and it will automatically insert the selected support into your skill if there are empty sockets. Some support gems will also have a cost multiplier associated with them, which will increase the cost of the active gem casting them, so be aware that your mana usage may go up. Each skill can only have one of each named support gems equipped to it, but you can use multiple copies of the same support gem in different skills. Support gems do not have level requirements, but instead come in 3 colors, red, green, and blue. These colors are associated with their corresponding stats, those being strength, dexterity, and intelligence. When viewing your skill menu, you'll notice this text at the top that states support gem capacity.
This is so good.
This is effectively a limit on how many support gems you can equip of a certain color based on your current stats.
Oh.
Every 5 points you have in a stat allows you to have 1 additional support gem of that type equipped.
Wait, what?
You may also note that support gems also come in levels.
I didn't know that. I learned something completely new.
Stats. Every 5 points you have in a stat allows you to have 1 additional support gem of that type.
Really?
Support gem capacity. This is effectively a limit on how many support gems you can equip of a certain color based on your current stats.
Oh.
Every 5 points you have in a stat allows you to have 1 additional support gem of that type equipped. You may also note that support gems also come in levels and have tiers associated with them, like skill gems. Unlike skills, however, going up in tiers does not increase the stat requirements. You'll also see that some support gems will come with a number, such as Rapid Attacks 1. This means that there are higher tier versions of them. However, unlike skills, these higher level tiers of support gems are not always beneficial and can sometimes come with drawbacks.
Yes.
For example, Rapid Attacks 1 only provides 15% attack speed, whereas Rapid Attacks 2 provides 25%. Rapid Attacks 3, however, will grant 35% increased attack speed, but comes with the enormous drawback of dealing 50% less damage. Like items and passives, just make sure you're reading the descriptions of these support gems as you equip them. If you don't, you might end up hurting yourself badly, such as in the case of Rapid Attacks 3. Finally, in regards to support gems, you may notice the small checkbox in the bottom left corner of the window. While the checkbox is on, you will see suggested support gems the developers recommend using at starting level for your skills. However, unchecking the box will reveal that there are a lot more support gems that you can acquire. Not all of these will be useful, and it will require a lot of reading to know what will be good and what won't.
Yes, you will spend figuring out how to make a skill serve the purpose you wanted to use for, which to be fair, you can. For example, I use my thunderstorm with my druid for clearing. I have a very specific goal for that thing to do. Clearing and inciting shock on enemies. Well, shock on enemies, I mean actually bosses. That's why I use it for bosses too, only for the shock. So these are the two things that my thunderstorm is there for. I had to figure out how to do that all by myself. And that was actually fun. It's really, really nice being able to sit there and just go into the depths, reading through all these descriptions and figuring out how you can make a thing happening that you have in mind. And maybe even getting new ideas on how to do something. That's why Path of Exile 1 and 2 are so good. That's why. And there's no other reason. It's just that. And I love it. I truly, truly love it. It's so good.
So starting out, I'm not sure if I'd uncheck this box. However, if the idea of having more options excites you, feel free to read all of the options and customize your skills to your heart's content. Lastly, there's one more type of skill gem we need to go over. After defeating the King of the Mists in the Act 1, you'll receive a Gembloom Skull quest item. Crushing the Gembloom Skull will provide you a small amount of permanent spirit to your character and an uncut spirit gem.
Oh yeah, spirit.
The uncut spirit gems, then, are a new type of skill gem that uses the spirit resource. Spirit skill gems are strong passive abilities that can be toggled on or off, and provide you with very powerful buffs while they are active. When toggled on, they will use a certain amount of your spirit meter to remain active, but you can toggle them off at any time to regain that spirit. After choosing a spirit gem, you must place it in your skills menu and then press the prompt to activate the spirit skill. Finally, there's one last thing I need to cover to wrap things up.
Here we go.
At the start of this video, I mentioned I wouldn't be discussing many outside resources you as a player would need to get going.
But
Too many content creators are quick to recommend websites and apps to help with getting into Path of Exile 2, and I personally think that intimidates new players, as it basically tasks them with additional chores they have to complete before they're allowed to just enjoy the game. However, with all that said, if you've made it this far into the video, I am going to recommend getting a loot filter.
yes, absolutely.
Loot filters are a very simple to add, convenient tool that hides useless loot on the ground, as well as highlighting important items. The process for adding them can take literally less than a minute, and is done through the official Path of Exile website, so there's no shady downloads or obnoxious installations.
Yep.
Simply log into your account on the Path of Exile website, and then scroll to the bottom and click Item Filters. Once here, make sure your game type on the top right is set to Path of Exile 2. Then, click on NeverSync's regular softcore, or NeverSync semi-strict, and on the top right click Follow. The higher number you pick, the more strict your filter will be, hiding more and more items. Now back in your game, open your options and click on the game section. The first option.
I didn't even know you. I didn't. Wait. I think I did that before, but I didn't remember. I actually always look into the Neversink site and then, get it to my account. I completely forgot that you can do that this way.
Option will say item filter. Click the drop-down and the filters you followed should be displayed here. Simply click the filter and remember to hit the save button at the bottom. And that's all. If later on you find that there starts to be too many items on the ground again, you can come back to the filters list and get higher tiers of Neversink's filter. Neversink's filters are frequently updated and are the community's go-to for item filtering. And that's all there is then. That's all the information I think you need as a brand new player to get started in Path of Exile 2 and even beat the campaign. Going forward, we have a bit of the video left, which like my first video, I'll be using to cover short bonus tips that might be good to know as you complete the campaign.
Oh, there's more. Oh my god. This video is amazing. This video is amazing. Oh my god, this is so good.
Regardless, thanks for sticking with me up until this point, and I hope in this quick rapid fire section I can cover any other useful information you might need to know. So, without further ado, let's hurry up and finish this all off. In all towns, you'll have at least 3 primary vendors. One sells armor and weapons, one sells magical equipment and accessories, and the last one is used for gambling. Additionally, after you have completed a few of the starting quests in Act 1, you'll acquire a permanent NPC companion that resides in all towns, who will identify any items for you at no cost, and will allow you to respec your passive skill tree for your skill points.
Yep.
You can also choose to disenchant items at any of the magic vendors in town to break down those items above normal rarity into useful crafting currencies. Upon combining 10 of these shards together, you'll get 1 orb. Transmutation orbs turn normal items into magic items, and regal orbs turn magic items into rare items.
Yep.
All bosses
That's
will
what
flash
they do.
red and release this specific audio cue before initiating a powerful attack. While the attacks may be different for each boss, make sure to pay attention when you notice these indicators to increase your chance of surviving.
Which also is... This just shows how well these people can design a game. They not only show you, oh, look, red, danger, they also have a sound cue. So you literally can't miss this stuff. Unless, of course, you're watching 2 streams of the same game on your second and third monitor and don't pay attention. Then it hits you.
Make sure to pay attention when you notice these indicators to increase your chance of surviving. Passing a checkpoint while roaming the map will fully heal you and refill your charges and your flasks. You can also teleport between any checkpoints.
I completely forgot that. I remember that it existed now, but I completely forgot about that.
In the zone you are currently in. Dying will resurrect you at your last visited checkpoint and resurrect all the monsters in the current area. You may find items with these empty sockets in them. These are used to place runes into the items. Runes are basically a crafting resource that will provide a buff to your item that they are socketed into, such as increasing damage on weapons or increased resistances on armor.
Runes are great. They're awesome. I just wish they dropped more through the campaign. I actually had problems during the campaign because I didn't have resistance orbs for I don't even know what. I think a lightning or cold, something like that.
Late into Act 1, you will gain access to the salvage bench. This bench can be used to break apart items that have either quality or rune sockets on them. The materials you get from salvaging can then be used to upgrade your current gear with the same properties. If at any point during the campaign you find yourself dying a lot, check your elemental resistances under your character page. Try to keep the primary 3, fire, cold, and lightning, as close to the cap of 75% as possible. Chaos resistance is very hard to find in good amounts, So while it can hurt, I wouldn't prioritize it during the campaign, as it's also the rarest damage that you can take.
Yes. Completely agree.
If using a magical weapon, like a Wanderer's Staff, know that your basic attack is associated with the type of weapon that you are using. For example, an Ashen Staff will grant the Firebolt spell, while the Gelid Staff will grant you Freezing Shards.
What he didn't say is, if you're using them, they don't cost mana. They are literally free. Literally free. And you can socket support gems into them. He didn't say that. So I think I have to.
Additionally, the random stats these weapons roll will more often be associated with their corresponding elements. This tip applies to both the passive skill tree and skills. While hovering over a passive or skill with these underlined keywords in the description, you can hold Alt on PC or press down the right joystick on consoles to hover over the text and select it. This will give you a detailed description and breakdown of what that keyword means and how it works. And that is really it. That's everything. I know it took us a minute to get here, but we did it. That's all I can think of that you might need to know as a beginner to navigate through the entirety of the campaign for Path of Exile 2. There are many more things that you'll learn as you play the game, such as currency items, crafting, and much more. However, to get you started, I feel like we covered the basics of everything that you'll need to know. The best tip I can offer you if you're ever confused in the game is to read.
Oh,
If
yes.
you don't know what an ability
Yes.
does, read it. Wondering what a passive does, check the description of it.
Absolutely. Such a
If
good
after
video.
everything you felt like you've learned something from this video, I'm still embarrassed to ask, but if you could leave a like, it would mean a lot to letting me know that I did a good job.
Yeah, guys.
If you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe, as I'm still a very small growing channel, and believe it or not, this is only my third video.
Give him a like.
Lastly, if you have any additional questions or felt I left out
Absolutely.
important
Guys.
information that a player would need to know, please
Give him
feel
a
free
like.
to leave a comment for feedback. I read every single one of them, and despite what everyone says about YouTube comments, I've personally found nothing but a wholesome community so far through my last 2 videos.
Crazy
I know that
good
Path of
video.
Exile 2 can be a very intimidating game to get started in, but I'm sure you'll do great. The game is actively challenging, but rewards your efforts and makes you feel like when you're doing great, you deserve it.
Here's
I wish you all the
thumbs
luck
up.
out there completing your first campaign run, and I hope to see you back here soon for more Path of Exile 2 content. For those of you who stuck with me until this point, but were watching my channel more for my Path of Exile 1 content, I apologize for being away for a while. Between a few unfortunate life events and starting up courses at a new university, things have been a little bit busy. I actually have a huge project nearly complete for Path of Exile 1, but I figured it probably wasn't the best time to release it, right as everyone was taking their break for the League. Whether you're a new or returning viewer though, I deeply appreciate the time you spent with me today on this video. I hope to go on many more adventures with all of you, through both Path of Exile 1 and 2. For now though, stay safe out there, exiles.
Oh my god, this is so good. One of the best. One of the best Path of Exile 1 or 2 videos I have ever seen. This video is so good. Oh my god. I'm ashamed being a React Andy. And I mean that literally. I'm ashamed. I'm just reacting to stuff like that. Oh my god. Crafting explained. Oh my god. I'm gonna watch that video because I still don't understand crafting in PoE 1 or 2. So I'm gonna watch that.